Uganda's central bank cut its benchmark lending rate by 50 basis points to 11.5% as the effects of drought hit the economic outlook, its governor said on Wednesday. The governor of the Central Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tumusime Mutabile, said the economic growth forecast for the fiscal year from last July had been lowered to 4.5% from a previous forecast of 5%. Tumusime Mutabile said some inflationary pressures attributed to high oil prices are expected in the short term, but headline inflation was expected to remain within the medium-term target of 5%. Mutabile said economic prospects were optimistic for the 2017-2018 fiscal year, with growth seen climbing again to 5.5%. Fund manager of Alpha Capital Partners, Stephen Kaboyu, said the rate cut appeared to reflect policymakers' view that risks for further downside to the real economy is more immediate than the risk to the side of inflation. Inflation climbed to 5.9% last month from 5.7% in December, driven by a surge in some food prices, making the interest rate cut. It is Uganda's sixth in a row. Uganda is suffering from a drought across East Africa that has sent prices of staple foods soaring to record or near record levels and could lead to food shortages in some areas, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization said. FAO. Policy makers began cutting the benchmark rate in April, bringing it down from the peak of 17% reached as the bank battled a surge in prices. Minister of Finance Edward Skikluna has joined all the finance ministers and central bank governors hailing from Italy, Greece, Portugal, San Marino, Albania and East Timor in a discussion within the joint International Monetary Fund and World Bank constituency meeting in Rome. The meeting, hosted by the Italian finance minister, addressed issues of shared common concern regarding growth-friendly fiscal policies in a budget-constrained environment, inequality and poverty, as well as strategic issues relating to the IMF and the World Bank. The meeting was addressed by IMF Executive Director Carlo Cottarelli and World Bank Executive Director Patrizio Pagano. Special presentations were given by Deputy Director of Fiscal Affairs Department of the IMF, Christopher Towe, and senior economists from the World Bank, Dean Jolliffe. Professor Skikluna was accompanied by the CBN Governor, Mr. Mario Vela. Now, stories from other African countries. Doctors working in public hospitals in Zimbabwe have gone on strike, demanding a better pay and improved working conditions. Zimbabwe Hospital Doctors Association President Edgar Mulashi said the medics were also being overworked after the government put a freeze on the recruitment of health workers. He said they were embarking on a job boycott because the government had failed to review the on-call allowances from $288 a month for the lowest paid doctor to $720. He said the government had reneged on previous commitments to improve doctors' living conditions. Dr. Munachi said the government had also failed to provide duty-free car loan scheme for the medics. Meanwhile, the health minister David Parry-Rayashwa pleaded with the workers to return to work, saying some of their demands had already been addressed. He said the government had created 250 posts for doctors and 2,000 jobs for nurses to ease the workload in public hospitals. President Robert Mugabe's government is yet to pay civil servants their 2016 bonuses 3 months after they became due. The government has also not been paying salaries in time since early last year, owing to dwindling revenues. Zimbabwe's health sector is suffering under the weight of understaffing and a severe shortage of drugs. The United Nations Children's Agency has launched a $110 million appeal to help 2 million acutely malnourished children across Sudan, including hundreds of thousands living in conflict areas. UNICEF said Sudan is home to around 13% of all children suffering from acute malnutrition across Africa. The situation is exacerbated by conflict-related displacements, El Nino, epidemics, flood, and droughts. Around 3 million children remain out of school, with half of them living in conflict-affected areas. The agency said Sudan had made progress across many life-saving sectors in recent years. Around 24 million people still lack proper sanitation facilities, while 6 million children have no access to clean drinking water. UNICEF has spent about $500 million in Sudan over the past 5 years, and the agency increasingly aims to tap funds from inside Sudan. We'll be on a short break now. More news when we return.